So we've been seeing all of this military activity from the PRC. They seem to be, as I described, essentially moving the goalposts around Taiwan, almost literally. And so, what is this new normal cost imposition campaign that China's engaged in? What does it look like? And why is enhancing defense resilience so important for meeting this new level of Chinese activities?
What it looks like today from a military point of view, in a practical manner, at sea, it's ships surrounding the island 360 degrees from the PLA Navy. Clearly, Beijing is signaling that we have the ability to surround you and interfere with those rights of immigration, trade, law enforcement, pollution that every nation enjoys. It also looks like manned and unmanned aircraft crossing across the tacit median line, which for decades was a symbol of peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. And it also looks like the disinformation campaigns and the cyber attacks that go on. But it's also a three-dimensional problem in the physical space. It's dozens and dozens of high-altitude surveillance balloons crossing over the island of Taiwan. We in the United States have dealt with this in terms of violation of sovereign airspace. And so as you put that all together, it is a situation in which the status quo is clearly being unilaterally changed.
When people think about national resilience, they tend to think about more defense-orientated activities or preparedness. And certainly resilience does encompass that. But to my mind, it's a much broader concept. And that's why it's such a powerful concept to try and pursue at a national level. So when I talk about resilience, I'm talking about a country's ability to manage the full cycle of risk.
It's the obligation of the United States to provide and help Taiwan have a so-called sufficient self-defense capability. The second aspect of the Taiwan Relations Act is that the United States itself should have a capacity to resist any resort to force or other forms of coercion, for example, blockade, that would affect the security of Taiwan. And then the third element of the act is that if there is any effort to cause Taiwan to change its circumstances by other than peaceful means, so for example, by boycotts or embargoes, then that would be of grave concern to the United States. So by way of contrast to what former President Trump has said, President Biden on several occasions has actually said that the United States would come to the defense of Taiwan. That's a little bit further out than the actual words of the TRA, but it gives a sense of the differentiation of approaches.
In terms of energy security for Taiwan, it's a huge problem. As Frank mentioned, Taiwan relies on seaborne imports for more than 95% of its energy needs. It's a very striking statistic, but it really shows the depth and the gravity and the immediacy of the problem, especially in the face of a PRC quarantine, blockade, siege, or invasion. And so, in regards to how do we move the ball forward very quickly in Taiwan, so Marcus, as you mentioned, some of these policies we recommend will take several months, several years, more likely, to really show significant effects. And so, one immediate policy is to not turn off Taiwan's access to nuclear electricity, to nuclear energy for electricity. That's a very important step for Taiwan to take. There's been some encouraging progress that Taiwan is reevaluating its skepticism of nuclear energy.
You have to really try to build up national defense without political manipulation too much. If that's too much, that reduces the people's trust in the government, and that will reduce the weakened support. I suppose no Taiwanese want to surrender to the dictatorship. And we all want to maintain the democracy, sovereignty, and prosperity, free market. I suppose we are one of the freest societies in Asia, and we are proud of it. And we want to maintain it. And we want to maintain our connection with the world. Democracy is really, because we are young democracy, it's really the value that we want to defend. So I suppose the people have this determination and willingness to cooperate with government. But I suppose we need to build up the mutual trust between the government and private sectors. And that is very important for all the successful resilience and comprehensive defense plan in Taiwan.